Alright, we are back to this week's vlog. It is Friday. You guys are watching on Friday afternoon. Some of you are sitting on your couch, just ready for the weekend. Anyways, so today we are going to assemble the short block. We're going to do this in 2 segments. We're going to do the short block video, then we're going to do doing the cylinder head, degearing the cams video. Degearing cams and the cylinder head is going to take probably longer than the short block stuff. Now I'd mentioned that I was going to get all the tools and do this myself. It's all math and torque. But what better way to quickly pick up on this than somebody that does this all the time? Now, in the past couple weeks, I have figured out that I have a long lost brother. Based on everyone's comments. I mean, it all kind of aligns, right? He's funny like me, charming, not as handsome as me, but you know, fits the schedule. And he's into cars. And my dad did roam those areas 20, 30 years ago. So I said, you know what, everybody liked him, we're gonna bring him back to the video. So,
Carnal!
My brother.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, buddy.
So, we're gonna assemble the short block and hopefully see.
How was your drive?
It was far. Well, it's an hour away, but with traffic, people decide to get into accidents like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm here though.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
It's a long way from the Dino.
Yeah. Be quick, right? It's always good to get out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So he brought his stand, put the crank on there. He's gonna get set up. As you guys know in the last video, Golden Eagle, Bob, thank you again for, you know, helping us with all this.
Shout out to Bob.
Yeah, Bob, the man. Everyone there is great. Other people that were involved that, you know, aren't behind the camera that help make these timelines are this guy named Mike Sweeney from 1-to-1 Race in, I think he's in Virginia. Oh, he's somewhere back east. Anyways, Mike builds engines back east. I've known Mike for like 15 years. And I'm like, man, I need rods. And he's like, dude, I got these in stock. I'll overnight them to you. So, Sweeney overnighted us some boost line GSR rods. Okay, so if you guys need parts, Sweeney stocks everything. 1-to-1 race. We'll drop his Instagram here. Big shout out to him for having these overnighted and sent to us to be able to get this short block built. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be doing this. So, thank you, Mike. We have the area pistons that Alberto will show you. Alberto, yeah, start showing them all this shit so they know what the fuck is going on.
So Arias pistons, we've been using them for a long time.
Arias is owned by CP, so it's Arias CP.
Yes.
Same thing. So we use CP pistons on all the V10 stuff.
Oh, 10-to-1. 10-to-1.
Yeah, it's flat top. I wanted more compression. I'm so used to compression just because we run ethanol fuels. Like on those big engines, we run 12.5 compression still, but we never run pump gas, so it kind of makes no difference, right?
What I want to do right now is just make sure that the bores are straight, which I'm pretty sure they are because Bob does a good job. And we're gonna check the journals on the mains, make sure that the clearances are correct, and the journals on the rods. Once we check that, we can go ahead and put her together. The reason why we do that is because we want to make sure that our oil clearances are good, because if they're not, obviously we're going to lose oil pressure and the engine's not going to last, especially on the dyno. It won't even last one hit. Matter of fact, it won't even last getting warmed up. The oil clearances are bad. So, oh, you got the extra clearances too?
Yes.
Just in case. Okay. All right. So what Alex did was he got regular clearance bearings, and we're gonna check it with the rod. And if he's happy with those clearances, we'll run these. But if he wants a little bit more clearance, obviously we'll run these.
Got it.
It's a good move.
Well, that was actually I can't take that credit. It was Bob's idea.
Yeah. Damn, even your engine stands are fancy. Ours are like. Shout out to the Raza working in the back of Golden Eagle. Making it happen, man. All Raza.
That dude knows shit.
Yeah.
All those dudes have been there over 20 years.
Yep. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just miking the journals, making sure they're standard. A standard crank so that they correlate with the standard bearings. So I'll check, make sure that these are all the same size, if not close, by the tenths. And then we can move along. 2.164, and then I just go with the next one. And then it matches, and then I go with the next one, and then it matches, and then it matches. Y nos chifla poquito. Yeah, so 2.164 is standard, so we're good on the mains. And then we're gonna go ahead and check the rods. Once we know that they're both good, then we can move on to the next step, which is check the line, and then we'll put the crank inside. And then on the rods is like 1.77. 1.771 is the size for the rods. This crank is perfect for what we're doing. And a little bit of education. The GSR crank, the way you can tell it's a GSR crankshaft is the third counterweight is flat. On the LS or non-VTEC, all of the counterweights are sticking up like this. And on the B16, 2 and 3 are flat, just like this. So that's the way you can tell it's a GSR crankshaft. A little bit of education for you guys. So I'm just giving them a little clean and prepping them to check the clearance itself. And then we're gonna know, and I'm gonna show you guys how we use the bore gauge and what it's for. And we're gonna go through the steps. Okay, the reason why the block was line bored was because they installed ARP main studs. And the reason why you line board is that the main studs compared to the OEM ones have more pressure, the ARPs. So think about this as a perfect circle with the original studs. When you get the ARPs, the squish is much more stronger. So that perfect circle is now like oval shaped. So then Bob from Golden Eagle, shout out to Bob, he ran the machine through the line, making it straight again so that you're able to run the correct bearings for it. If we just installed the ARP main studs and did not correct that oval shape, when you go to torque the crankshaft down, it's just gonna seize, it's not gonna run. Or your oil pressures are gonna be way too tight and it's gonna blow up. But Bob does a good job. I'm confident. Saludos a la raza de Golden Eagle that works in the back. And let me take you guys some more. Okay, so what I'm taking out right now is, I don't know if this thing was washed, but I'm going to at least hose it down. And we're gonna flush the system because this is where the oil travels. So most likely there's shavings in here. So we're gonna do our due diligence and flush it. Ooh, see, this is why we're doing this. Look at all that gunk. If we didn't do this, all that gunk would get into Alex's bearings and the motor again wouldn't last. Whenever you get your engine back from the machine shop, it's your responsibility as the assembler to clean it, to flush it out. Unless you ask the machine shop for a thorough cleaning, not just a hot tank, hey, I want to clean thoroughly, then it's their responsibility. But if you just got it back from machining, just take off these nuts right here, these Allens on the B series. So these Allens, this one right here, the one I just took off, this one accesses the oil cavity. So right now when we rinse it out, you're gonna see that it travels through the squirters and through the, where the bearings get fed oil. So we're just gonna run water through it. It's fairly clean, but we're just gonna flush out the oil system. It's something that takes you 10 minutes and it'll save you thousands of dollars in the long run. So we're just spraying some brake cleaner. This will suffice. I don't have my hot tank here, if not I would hot tank it, but this should be fine. We'll just use up a bunch of the brake cleaner. It's not my brake cleaner, fuck it. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Normally what I would do at my shop is take it to the snap-on hand cleaner, and then I'll run it in the hot tank with all of these cavities exposed, and it'll flush out everything. Right now we just have to put a little bit more oomph into it, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. We got a Lambo going over there. This is cool, the spinning, but what's it look like from behind? So now we can go ahead and install. Now that I know that this thing is clean on the inside, and when we get it going, there's not gonna be debris that we don't want, then we can go ahead and start assembling. I'm out of breath, bro. Ooh. I think Alex has better cardio than me though, because I'm a fat boy. Fancy gloves for aesthetic. Anybody who assembles an engine with gloves on, even though they don't know what they're doing, it looks like they know what they're doing, huh? That's what I'm doing, because I don't know what I'm doing, guys. But once we have the gloves on, then we know what we're doing. All right, so these bearings are already cleaned up, wiped them down. We're gonna install them, and we're gonna put the girdle on and the main caps, and we're gonna pre-torque everything as if the crank was already in there. And then we're gonna measure it, and that'll determine our clearances. It's gonna make more sense as we go. So let's put the bearings on. Okay, very important. ACO race bearings or King race bearings have two sets of bearings for the mains. If you look closely, very closely, you can tell the difference between the two. One of them goes on the top and one of them goes on the bottom. You can right away tell that these are a little bit different because of these holes. Now these holes are where the oil travels. So if we were to put this here, actually you can't do it because this is located different, but on some engines, you could accidentally put this bearing on the bottom and it'll block off the oil. Honda kind of thought about it, and they located the little, the notch right here, so it doesn't fit on the bottom, so you can't mess this up. If you mess it up, there's something wrong with you. But on some engines, the notch is located on the same side, so some people will block off the oil and it's over. So this one is dummy proof, but you will be surprised. And then we got our top bearings, and this one goes here, boom, here, boom, here. And then after we go ahead and check these, we gotta clean this tube. We could check it right now. All right, so a lot of people, they make the mistake of installing the bearing incorrectly. I'm gonna show you how you install it. Well, I'm gonna show you first how people install it incorrectly. First, they would put the bearing on top even, and they would push down in the middle. What happens with that is that it scratches the back of the bearing. So the way that I install them, and you should install them too, is the teeter-totter method. We put in the notch on one side, it's high on this side, and then you just teeter-totter it in. Boom. That's it. It's simple as that. And a little trick like that will save you money, because if you scratch the back of the bearing, it's going to throw your clearances off, and then you got to go buy a new set. And that's something we don't want to do. So save as much money as possible with tricks like this. So one more time for the camera, one more time. Last one. So we're going to go here, put it in the notch. It's okay if it's outside, hanging more on this side. You just push on that opposite end, and it'll go in nice and easy. Okay, so we don't have any ARP lube here at Cheapy's, but we're gonna put some lubricant for it so it slides in nice and easy. In this case, we're using Munoz Performance Heads Assembly Lube. Buy yours now. It's for automotive only, guys. Okay. Don't take that joke seriously, please. We're just running these things down. So a lot of people have a misconception about these main studs, and they mess them up. You don't have to torque the actual stud. That one just has to be ran down by hand. The one that does get torqued is the nut, and the nut will tighten everything up. Don't try to torque this down to 80 pounds because it's an Allen. You'll strip it. I have to say it. So you'd be surprised. Some people, they're misinformed, or they don't ask questions. A lot of people don't ask questions because they're kind of embarrassed that they don't know about cars like other dudes. But it's okay to ask questions, because if you don't, you're gonna mess up. And there's nothing, if you messed up because you didn't ask a question, then it's a problem. Oh no, I got a speed wrench. Oh no, but not with this size. Sorry. Alex has a speed wrench, but that shit might come up missing today. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to watch this video of how this engine is assembled, and everybody does things differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right way of doing things, but there is a wrong way of doing things. This is just how I do things. For example, right now I'm running it down with a ratchet. Some dudes swear by a speed wrench. Some dudes use impact at low speeds. They're like, why are you using a ratchet? Just use the impact. That's fine too, but just be very careful with the impact. But a lot of people will comment, oh, that's not how you do that. There's a lot of right, correct ways to do things. Now, if I were to hit it with the impact and strip it, then that's obviously wrong. But whether you use a ratchet or a speed wrench to run it down slowly, or use the impact at low speed and stop right before it gets there, that's totally fine, as long as the end goal is met, meaning as long as I run these down correctly, you're good. So that's, a lot of people are intimidated because there's people who tell you, oh, that's not how it's done, so they kind of get discouraged, and they don't want to build engines anymore. They don't want to work on cars because they feel like they're doing it wrong. But in reality, you're just doing it your way, and you're coming up with your own style, if you will. So come up with your own style. As long as the job is done right, it doesn't matter how you get there. Check out my cool crank stand. So this crank stand was custom made. Hit us up if you want one. But this one is made specially for B series and K series cranks. Since the B series and the K series crankshafts share the same sizing in the main caps, it works for both. And that's what we build most of, is B's and K's. So we went ahead and got this crank stand.
So my guy here forgot a tool.
I'm Alex from Sheepy, and I forgot the ring gapper tool.
Luckily, my buddy Ty from A&C up the road, man. Viper guy, has him. I'm gonna go. He's got a little handheld one. Amateur. A little handheld one, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That is fine.
How's this going?
Good, good. We're about to check out the clearances on the mains.
Okay.
And after that, we can put the crank in. So we just called Bob and asked him what the torque specs, how many pounds it is for the ARP main studs. Now, originally, I know that these outer ones, these outer caps are 48, and these three are 56. So now we're doing 80. I was talking about this previously about how these torque down more. So since it's the original is 56, say it was torqued down to 56, it's a perfect circle out of the factory. Now since we're gonna squish it more, 80. Now it's oval. That's why it has to be machined. There's more squish to it. We're going from 56 to 80. It might not sound like a lot, but that's a lot as far as pounds per square inch is concerned in assembling an engine. So you always want to do in 3 steps. So I'm doing 20, 50, and then 80. The first 2 are to snug it down evenly. You don't want to just go straight to 80 because you will ruin, it might not be going down evenly and you might ruin the cap. You just want to take your time when it comes to torquing. All right, so we're at 50, and now we're gonna go ahead and go 80. In machining, there's no such thing as holes. Holes become bores. So this is a bore, line bore, not line hole, line bore. So let's go ahead and check it out. So we get the size of our crankshaft, and they're all even. This is a really good crank, by the way. I don't know who machined this one. So then we get our size, our diameter, and then we're gonna transfer it over to our bore gauge. 2.164. We get our micrometer stand, fancy schmancy. I could be fancy too, Alex. And we get our fancy billet. This is all the billet I have in my shop compared to a whole billet Lambo. We get our bore gauge. Okay, so I want to make one thing clear. The bore gauge doesn't measure anything. Meaning it can't grab something and measure the size of it, the exact size. It takes the measurement from the micrometer, which I'm gonna give it to, and it tells you the difference, meaning how looser or how tighter it is. So we're gonna give the measurement right here we're gonna zero it out to the micrometer, and then we're gonna transfer that measurement that the micrometer has over here. Just to give you a little bit of insight, this gauge is kind of different than my Mitutoyo. Any number to the right is how tighter it is. So if it's on the 2, the hole's gonna be 2,000 smaller than whatever the measurement I'm giving it to. So we don't wanna be on the right, we wanna be on the left between the 9 and the 8. But the 9 is a 1, the 8 is a 2, etc. This gauge is just a little bit different. I'll show you the other gauge. So think about it like this. See it? So this one shows you a little bit better, plus or minus. On the left is plus. We want to be on the plus side, how much looser it is, and then the minus is how much tighter it is. It just reads differently. You guys can see that? Can you see that? See the 1, so just pretend it's the same thing. So when it comes to read it, and it says 9, you're gonna be like, dang, that's 9 thousandths too loose. No, so we're gonna go ahead. All right, so we're pretty zeroed in. There you go, a little bit to the right, but we're pretty much zeroed in now, and we can go ahead and transfer the bore gauge over to the block, and let's see what clearances we have on it. Hopefully we're good. Let's see. So right here we're at like 1, we're at 1.5, which is good. Perfectly 1.5. Okay, this one's a little bit tight. We're at not even like half, so we're gonna run the extra clearances there. This one's 1.5, perfect. So this is the one that I don't like, but we're gonna go ahead and run a little more extra clearance bearing. That's 1.8, that's good. This is the one in question, but that's why, see this one's too tight. This one's about 0.6 thou. So that's why we got extra clearance bearing. So the extra clearance bearing is gonna give us the measurement we need. So right now what we're gonna do is just mark that one that we don't like. That's a little bit too tight for my liking, and we'll swap them out with the extra clearance bearings. But we'll ask Alex if, you know, what clearances he wants. If you run a looser clearance, you have to run a thicker type of oil. So this one's at 1, not even half a thou. So we have to run a extra clearance on that one, and that one's at 1. So 1, 2, 3. It's the same thing as if you lose oil pressure in your bloodstream. It's like if this was too tight, think about one of your veins getting too tight. So then you lose pressure in your blood, so then it's gonna choke the motor out, it's gonna die because it lost oil pressure. Because oil is the blood of the engine. So we don't want it too tight because we're squeezing that vein in the engine. So the way we alleviate it is we're gonna run the extra clearance. Let me see those. These are the HX's. X means extra clearance. So we're gonna go ahead and swap them out for these OEM spec ones, and that should put us exactly where we need to be.
So you like this one?
Yeah, because OEM is around half a thou. So this 1.5. So this is 1.7. This is 1.6. This one's at 0.6. So hopefully it puts us where we need to be. So these 1, 2, 3. We're gonna swap these 3 out and see where it puts us there. We should be fine after that. All right, so we got the extra clearances installed on the ones that we need it to be. There's a lot of factors that are involved here. It could be off because the crank might be off, but that's why we have extra clearance bearings and standard size bearings. Even when you go to Honda, they offer different colored bearings. There's a green one, there's a brown one, and there's a red one, and they all have a little bit of extra clearance on it, like 0.5 thou or 1 thou. The reason for that is we want to get it as close as possible in between 1.5 and 2 thou. Since we're pushing that much power, we want it to be even. So that's why Bob, thank you Bob for supplying the extra clearance bearings for us and the standard. He knows that we're trying to get it as close as possible. So that's what we're doing right now. Now, this one was a little bit too tight, and this one, so we're going ahead and put the extra clearance bearings that were supplied to us, and it should put us exactly where we need to be, and they're all gonna be between 1.5 and 2 thou. So let's check this one. This one was a little bit too tight for my liking, but we're now at it's exactly 2 thou on this one. This one was already good at 1.6, and then this one right here, we are exactly 2 thou as well. So this is gonna be good. This is gonna be sufficient for what we need to do. Now we can confidently torque this crankshaft onto the block. It's gonna spin freely, spin nice, and we know that it's not going to lose oil pressure on the crank. Now right now we're gonna go to lunch, and we're gonna check the rods. Once we know the rods are fine, we can go ahead and put the short block together, and we are confident in the oil clearances.
We're gonna take him to the best tacos in Marietta. You ready?
Let's go check it out, bro.
You like spicy?
I love spicy.
My dog.
I love
We'll
spicy.
see if you can hang with this.
All right,
my special cabbage. This cabbage is literally called the sheepy cabbage. So if you ever anybody ever walked into SoCal Tacos, just ask for the sheepy cabbage.
Sheepy cabbage?
Watch, we're about to see this roll. Try it, fool.
Okay, just grab it, or
Yeah, just grab a little piece, fool.
like a
Germs don't hurt. Go for it.
rabbit, like a wabbit.
A ver.
No mama.
No llores, mijo.
Oh,
Spicy or waffle?
fuck! It's like the one chip challenge, but cabbage edition.
It's crazy, huh?
All right, now we're back from lunch. I'm barely getting over that spicy cabbage, but let's get back to it. What we're gonna do now is, since we already checked the sizing and we know that the crank journals are correct, we're gonna go ahead and install the crank. But before the crank goes in, I want to show you guys these little things. These are oil squirters, oil squirter plugs. Now the GSRs and B16s, they have what's called an oil squirter. And they're located over here. Just come over here with me. They go right here. And the purpose of those from Honda, these right here. You see? The purpose of those from Honda is to squirt a little bit of oil in the piston pin area and to lubricate the bottom of the piston, the pin where the pin goes. And it also keeps the pin cool, various reasons. But after racing these cars for so many years, we figured that we don't really need that if we're running forged pistons and aftermarket rods that have a copper sleeve that keeps it cool anyway. Also, it's better to plug up the squirters and redirect oil pressure to the crank. I think Bob from Golden Eagle said this even in that vlog. So we're gonna go ahead and plug them. The oil squirters are unnecessary for what we're trying to do here. It's much more valuable that the oil pressure goes to the crankshaft. So let's go ahead and plug them up. It's very easy. And Golden Eagle supplied these as well, the oil squirter plugs. So it's very simple. They just screw in like so. Not too complex. You want to kind of introduce the threads a little bit, and then you would run it down. We're gonna use our fancy schmancy, well, Alex's fancy schmancy speed wrench for this process. Go ahead and run them down, like so. Give it a nice snug. Oh, do not strip that, because it's gonna be impossible to rethread, and just be very careful with this one. We're ready to install. Now, side to side play in automotive is called thrust. Up and down is called stroke. So now this crankshaft has thrust. You see, hear that? So then we have to install what's called thrust washers. Now the thrust washers eliminates that play. Now, this is the easier way to install it. I tried installing it the other way the first time, but this is much easier. So you just put a little bit of lube on the flat side, because the flat side, this is the flat side and this is the side that the oil travels on. You want that side to be on the outside towards the block.
Here, let me see it closer.
So this is the side with the little notches. Those face out, so it would be installed like this. Little notches. So then you apply the lube to the flat side, you get the other flat side and you sandwich them to get lube on both of them, and you stick them on there like so. You stick them on there. That's how I like to do it. The other way was kind of more difficult. So you stick it on there. Once they're on there, then we could go ahead and transfer the crank. So then now we have that. Now we could apply some assembly lube to the top of the crank, and then we could introduce the girdle. So the girdle, there's no way of mistaking it. The little U, there should be a little U on the block too. So you can't mess it up. Then the block is numbered, the caps, that's number 5 with the arrow. The arrow always points towards the timing, and 1 being the one is closer. The number 1 is always the one closer to the timing. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 1 towards the front of the crank. And then we're just about ready to torque this thing down. I was excited to come over here and I forgot the ring filer, and I forgot the piston ring compressor tool. But we're gonna get one right now. Yeah, we're going back to 80. So this one right here with the original bearings was 0.6, a little bit over half a thou tight. If I were to run the same bearings that it came with, like the original, not extra clearance, the crank would have seized already, but it's still spinning. Now it's spinning, but I guarantee you that if we would have ran the bearings that it came with, it would have seized, but we're good now because it would have been too tight. You really want to get it, when you're torquing, you really want to get in a good position. This is a good stand, so we're gonna get all up on this motherfucker.
What are you doing right here?
Final torque.
Think.
You're gonna tune the Lambo?
Yeah, you wanna watch it?
Yes.
That shit don't spin!
Seized! Oh.
Seriously, Dave, why didn't you spin? Go ahead, try to spin that side.
Oh, you scared me, bro.
That shit don't spin. A ver. No, mi vato sí sabe. Sí sabe el hermano perdido.
Lost carnal.
A long lost brother.
You did scare me, kinda. You're strong in your fist, bro. Got all my rings out. Now what I want to do right now is square the ring into the block. So we take our ring that we want to cut or gap, and we introduce it to the cylinder like so. So in this case we're going to go ahead and go in order. So we're going to do cylinder 1. So we simply introduce the ring like this, and then we spin her around, get her at the top, as close to the top as possible. And then we take our piston that's going to go in there, and we put the second ring on, and we go ahead and push it until it sits on the rings. You see, sitting. After it's sitting, we take it out, and we know that this ring is in there, squared correctly. Okay, so I determined there's a mathematical equation that I want you guys to research about the ring gap and how to set it. First of all, you gotta know how much power we're trying to make and what kind of fuel he's gonna run. He's gonna be running E85, I'm pretty sure, and he's trying to make 1,000 horsepower. So I determined by the bore and the kind of fuel and what kind of forced induction we're gonna run that the top ring gap is gonna be 22 thou. There's a, look it up, research it, but the top is ring gap is gonna be 22. So this one's a little bit too tight, and then this one, perfect. The car can work? No, the first one did not even fit at all. It won't even go in, but on this one it did. So in that case, we have to gap it with our old school ring gapper. The second one is good. 2 and 3 are fine. It's this one that didn't go in, this one, just this one. But 2, 3, and 4 are fine, and this one did not go in. Shout out to Bob. So let's go ahead and gap number 1. It's just a little bit that we have to gap. So we get a ring gapper. So we get our old school ring gapper. Actually, it has to be like this. And we square it. 2, we gotta make sure that it's flat. and then we just give it a spin. And although it looks like it's not eating it, like it's not doing nothing, remember we're working by thousandths of an inch. So we have to be very careful not to go over, because if we gap it way too much, we'll have blow-by, and we don't want blow-by. And blow-by is basically crankcase pressure getting passed into the rings and into the crankcase. We don't want that. So we go back here, we take another look, and we just keep repeating that until we got the gap that we want. There it is. So the top ring is fine. Now we go on to the second one. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing with the rods, the rod bore, as we did as with the mains. We're gonna check the clearances here with bearings and figure out which ones are better, either the extra clearance or the regular clearance. So let's walk over to our rod vise and loosen up all of these rods. So I'm just loosening them up right now, and then right now I will split them, install the bearings. If the bearings clear out, we'll mount them on the pistons and pop them in, and then we're done. And then we can move on to the next phase. Alex will handle that in the next vlog, installing the head, which I don't mind him doing because that's a head of degree cams.
It takes time.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a minute. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's like riding a bike, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, I know that the short block stuff is intense and a lot of work on it. So it's like, why make it all in one? Do 2 videos? Just more information, more watch time for people?
Yes.
You people?
Yeah, because to cram all that info, doing the head, if this took me 2-3 hours, the head's going to take you a while to a degree. And the explanation. All right, now I have I removed the rod cap, I installed the bearings. Now we're going to go ahead and torque the rod as if it were on the crank. Same exact principle as what I did with the block. Now the rods are torqued to 48 pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and torque it to 48 pounds. And then we're gonna set our gauge it. And then once it clears, we're gonna mount the pistons on the rod, pop them in, and let's go. Let's go home. Let's go back to the dirty Dino. All right, we got them all torqued on there. We bring our rods over here. Go ahead and set down our rods with the bearings in them, like so. We take our micrometer that we had previously measured the rod journals to, we locked it so it's still set up to the rod journals. And we set it up on our mic stand, and it's the same exact process, but in this case, since it's a much smaller diameter than the mains, we get a special bore gauge that's for smaller diameters, which is this one, the Tutoyo. It allows us to measure smaller bores. So we're gonna measure the rod, and we want at least 2.5, which we're pretty dead nuts here. We're gonna pop these rods, mount the rods on the pistons, and we're gonna go ahead and finish this block for Alex. So a lot of people don't know this, but these rods are directional. You have to look at the piston and find the groove that's for the exhaust, which is this one. This is the exhaust valve relief groove, sorry. You know that it's the exhaust side because it's smaller than this side, the intake, because the exhaust valve is smaller. So you find the exhaust valve relief, and you find the little nick on the rods, the little the groove where where the bearing sits, and it goes on the same side. So if the groove is on this side, which it is, and the exhaust relief is here, they go on the same side, like so. And then after you find it, you can go ahead and introduce the piston pin, like so. Check it, and then we could put in our locks. And then I like to add WD-40 to the pin after everything's installed. That's what I like to do. So we find our locks. Now, a lot of people don't like to install these locks because they don't know how, but I'm gonna show you how we do it. I install one side first, just like the ring. You push in, and you push on the top until it clicks. There, it clicked. Now, since it's clicked, it's locked on the top, we can go ahead and flip it and let the pin do the rest of the work. There you go. Now it's locked. Now one side is in. Now on this side, you want to kind of put the ring like the clip like this, and you want to squeeze like if you're popping a giant pimple, and you push at the top. And if it gets too hard, just get something to push it down. That's it. Push them in with no damage to the piston. It's very simple. So this one's done. So we'll go ahead and lay it down. And we are gonna take a sip of our Red Bull. Oh, that one's delicious. Get out of the piston. Piston number 2. And you get your pen, like so. Push it through, and we can introduce our clips. All right, we got all the rods installed on the pistons. Now we can go ahead and remove the cap, install the rings, and slide the pistons in, and we'll be done with the short block and ready to go home. and we'll leave Alex to the rest of the build. We're gonna go ahead and do cylinder number 1. And I lined up my rings over here and they correspond to the cylinders. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll get the rings for number 1. We'll get one squiggly ring. I call it a squiggly ring. I don't know what the term is. And the 2 rings on the outside. But all these make up the oil control ring, the squiggly ring. There's a certain way to install these rings, but I'm gonna leave that to you guys as well to research how they go. Usually you will get instructions if you buy a new set of pistons. The piston ring company or the piston company that you buy the set from should have instructions on how to install. And it's not difficult to figure out. A little bit of MPH assembly lube, a little dabble. All right, as far as lubrication, I like a little bit of WD-40 on my cylinder walls after we clean them. And that's all really I do for lubricating of the cylinders before install. Just a little spray, you take your rod, you apply the assembly lube to the rod, and she's ready to go in. That's as far as I go, as far as lubrication. A lot of people like to apply assembly lube to the rings. That's totally fine. Like I've said it many times, there's many right ways of doing it and one wrong way. The wrong way would be to go in dry. I don't like to go in dry. Some people do though. Some people do. No diddy. So we're gonna go in. Always be aware of the direction of the piston. This is the exhaust valve relief, and the exhaust on the B series is in the front. So then obviously the valve relief goes here. If we were to flip it and the intake valve is on that side, but the exhaust valve relief, we put it on that side on accident, since the intake valve is bigger than the valve relief, it's gonna smack the intake valve. So just be aware of that. So we introduce the piston, we get a rubber mallet. Two more to go. Everything's good, you're ready to go. We just gotta tune it now. Get in the car and tune it.
Well, we gotta do a lot more than tuning, my boy.
Oh, what?
Gotta put cylinder head on, camshafts, degree it.
Oh yeah.
Then I gotta do transmission stuff. Then I gotta do wiring stuff. Then I gotta do fueling stuff. Then I gotta do intake manifold stuff. Then turbo kit. God damn, we got a lot of episodes.
A lot to go, huh? Okay.
That's a lot. This is gonna be a big build series. I'm gonna have to speed it up and do 2 videos per week.
Let's do it, man.
Psych. It's too much work. Anyways, bro. I appreciate you coming out and knocking this puppy out.
I appreciate the whole Sheepy Race team. Everybody here was really cool to me.
Fun, huh?
You got to eat some spicy tacos.
You alright though?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. My stomach hurts a little bit, but the cabbage, man, spicy. That's too spicy, man.
Bro, you die at my house. So what's the recap? CP area pistons. We have the
boost line rods.
Boost line rods. ACL race bearings. Golden Eagle HC sleeve. Yeah, this is good for all the power.
Yeah. So till next time, we'll come watch you tune the car.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta come when we dyno it. That'll be dope. So I think that covers it all. So that is it for the short block build. A big shout out to, again, the people that supported this build, that made things happen. Sometimes, you know, getting things expedited is a big, I hate to use the word sponsor, so I'm not gonna use that word, support in itself. You know, because people have timelines and you have to appreciate when people make things happen to get it done. So at Mike the Tuner is a guy that runs one-to-one tuning. Big shout out to him. Make sure you give them a follow. Here's their info for the rods. And again, he does more than Hondas. Mike from 101 does more than Hondas. He does BMW, domestic, he tunes. He does it all. So make sure you give them a follow. If you haven't followed MPH, follow MPH. But most of you guys probably do. But if you don't, send him some cylinder heads. And now you know he does short block work. So if you guys need a Honda build locally, you know, on this side of the coast, hit him up. If you're on that side of the coast, hit up Mike Sweeney. But yeah, I think that covers it.
Thank you, Sheepy Race.
Sheepy Race. No. Those are the followers.
Huh? Oh, thank you, followers. Sheepy.
We're out.